So this is for a 2008 Harley FLST Softail, and this is how it comes packaged together. Here's the instructions, warranty information, some stickers, and the shocks. And that's how it came in. So compressor, wire harness with a switch, and 2 shocks. Oh yeah. All right, so since the last video, I attached this, the buttons for the compressor. I dressed up all the cable lines all the way up underneath the fuel tank. And I did not remove the fuel tank. I just kind of bundled them all up under there with the other bundle. Brought it up through here. You're gonna have to do a bit of cable management because this is where I put this big fuse holder they sent you, and bring across the wires, and you can see all the stuff underneath it. It's like you gotta be very careful of how you organize it so nothing gets crushed and everything works. And then if you go around the other side, I jacked up the bike. I got it up on Ranger jacks. This is quick jacks by Ranger, and a tabletop for it. And then I got this handy dandy jack to go up under that to get me access underneath. Let's take a look underneath. So we're removing these 2 bolts. 1, 2, and that's the front of the motorcycle, and that's what the shocks look like. And so take those loose, reposition the jack, and take off the back side of the jack of the shocks, but you can't see that from here because the jack's in the way. I'll start shooting again from there. There, I removed the 2 bolts. Wasn't too hard. I repositioned the jack just forward of the shocks, and that's where the bolts are at. Now I'm working on getting out these bolts. That's one, and that's the other. You don't have a whole lot of working room. They're 3/4 inch bolts, and the other ones are you can see them from up here. So anyway, mine aren't too dirty. Mine looks pretty good. So to break those bolts loose right here, I'm gonna use a circular 3/4 inch wrench with an extension bar on that and see if that can't break it loose. I had these circular wrenches from Snap-on from my dad. I think they're gonna come in handy now. Well, I'll let you know. So I got it to break loose, but this is the contraption I made up. It was a lot of force on those bolts. That's the bolts go into the swing arm. So when you do this, you're gonna have to put them on just as tight, because I don't think you're gonna get a torque wrench on there. They're over 100, about 130 pounds or something like that. Anyway, good luck. This is the most challenging part. All right, so you gotta take these bushings off with the screwdriver. I didn't do that in the first part of the video, but there's 2 bushings on those 2 bolts after you take the screws off, these bushings here. So we'll take those off. So with the 2 back bushings off and the 2 screws on the front of the bike here, I go to the back of the bike and I'm taking off, you can see through there, my finger is, this bolt here. And it's got a wrencher on it, okay? So the wrench is there. Let's even get a better look under here. So this is the wrench. There's the bolt. There's the other bolt. That's the swing arm in between, that black part, okay? Those are 2 shocks. Those are the old shocks. So this is my contraption. So I have these circular wrenches that go from there. My dad had them for aircraft. Goes all the way out on a breaker bar to the back. And that's how I'm breaking loose those bolts. I'm sure some people are strong enough to do it with a big wrench, but you don't have a lot of room under there, and you can't put any extra leverage on it other than this way that I know of. All right, good luck. Okay, so the right shock is out right there, and this is what it looks like when it's missing. There's nothing here. I'll turn the camera. There's one shock still in there. That's the left one. Then the right one is empty. As you can see, there's the swing arm. Word of caution, when you're working on this side of the swing arm, I don't know if you guys can see it, but on the left side, the swing arm is going to swing up as you try to break the bolt. You're going to have to get it high enough to allow the arm to swing. I put the bolt back on the front of the shock towards the front, so it would hopefully not give so much play to the back wheel. And you got to get it high enough to where you can really put some force on that to break it loose. Good luck. That's the hard part of this. Well, there's the second one. There's the bushing. It goes on like that, and then there's the big bolt, big shoulder bolt. There's much better videos out there. I think there's a guy named Del Boy. I watch his videos. I'm going to give him credit for getting the shocks out. So putting the new shocks in, the new Legend shocks here are going to be awesome. I was wondering about how they're going to do the bushing here. You notice that there's a bit of a bushing right there that rubs up against the swing arm. Now I was concerned that there's no inside washer. There's an outside washer. But if you notice here on their shocks, they included a welded on spacer that will ride on the shock and the bushing for the swing arm. So there's the Legends. I don't know if I should install Legend up or Legend down. I have to look at the instructions and see if there's a preferred way. All right, I'll let you know when I got them in. Take care, bye. Oh, by the way, I am on step 2 to remove original shocks. And I'll be moving on to step 3, wiring harness. I got most of it done. I just have to locate the compressor and where the compressor is gonna be. They have a picture here, and I'm going to try and match up to the picture and put the compressor in the exact same spot they say. See how it says front of the bike? So we'll see. So the compressor goes in front of the shock bolts, in front of these guys. So the only way to get to those is to mount the compressor. It says to leave the compressor loose. So let me tell you what it looks like under there. That's the cross member where the front of the bike is. The shafts come through there. These bolts go on there, okay? And then the compressor is going to be in this space here, this open space. So in front of the oil tank here, or the crankcase here. So it's a tight fit, but you got to leave it loose so you can get to the bolts that are going to be in the frame right there. Okay, so here's the wiring harness. I put some black tape around here because it had some silver showing there on the connectors. I couldn't make it flush, so I just did that for my own protection, my own thinking. The cable is all the way down as far as it'll go. Not sure how I'm gonna put that away, but this is the buttons coming from the handlebars. You can see that I had to route it straight down. I wanted it around this, but I don't think I'm gonna have enough cable, because the cable barely gets up there. So here's the cabling. So, and that's where the shock's gonna go, and that's where the compressor's gonna go, all up in there. So anyway, there we go. All right, here's the problem. You have a tiny air fitting on here. Let's see if I can show it to you guys. There's the air fitting. They want the shock to go in like this, up against the frame. Okay, so it's gonna go in like this. You're not gonna have access to that air hose. Okay, so what I'm proposing to do is feed the air line over the cross member and down into the air hose before I mount the shock. The instructions don't say that. The instructions, as you see, it says mount, apply Bluetooth red locker to the fasteners and install your Legend shocks according to the hardware configuration, figure C. Torque to OE specifications. Well, first of all, you're not going to be able to torque these guys, okay? Unless you got a special torque wrench and everything. Just put your apparatus back on, torque them down as much as you can. They're shoulder bolts, as you see, and it's going to tighten against the shoulder, not the threads themselves. And I don't know if you can over torque them. They're over 100 and some pounds of pressure. The fittings, if you notice, are up. I couldn't figure out why you would have the fittings up, because you won't be able to put the air hoses in the top because you have no clearance. Well, they want the fitting up, I figured, because these things are going to be covered by a cross member and you won't have access to them anyway. If you have them down, the hose is going to rub against the cross member and make a curve and eventually cause a leak. So going up, but the only way I know to put those hoses in there is to do it when the shocks are off, and then feed the hose over the top, put the shocks in, cut to fit the hoses on both shocks. So do the first one and then do the second one with the hose, cut the fit, and then it says to mount your compressor. So going to be moving the jack around a lot, back and forth to get all this in there. But anyway, I'm pretty sure that's pretty much a gotcha right there. This guy really paid attention to details on this diagram. So here's the hose. I cut it real clean, got it in the hole in the elbow, and I'm going to mount it into the housing with this bolt through the swing arm. And like I said, you have the washers already built into these things, so they want it where these fittings, these elbows are up. And so I got it going up over there, cross member, and back down, and then I'll cut the fit once I get it in there. All right, the elbow is kind of a tricky thing. As you get it in, you kind of have to maneuver it around a little bit, but it'll go. So if you can see this, we have two hoses. They're both going to the shocks here, and we haven't done the front of the bolts yet on the shocks, but we got the wiring, and we need to put the bushing on it. And once we put the bushing on it and torque them down, then we'll finish up the compressor. Okay, both shocks are in, as you can see. Wasn't the easiest. Okay, buddies. All right, I got the bolts tightened up right here. Book says 32 to 39 foot-pounds. And I looked up these other ones over here. This one here, the big ones, those are supposed to be 121 foot-pounds, 136 foot-pounds. Very big, very big. All right, very hard. All right. Okay, I'm finished. Did a test ride. I'll show you what it looks like underneath. So, I'll show you the function of them. And let's see here. Watch the bike go down and up. This is down. So it's fully inflated. There it goes. That's all the way down. And this is inflating. Yeah. And that's it. I'm gonna take a video of it underneath what it looks like.
There